Welcome back, guys, from the Philippines. As you can tell by the title, I was stuck on my balcony for over 7.5 hours. So I'm going to run you through the story of how it happened, how it could happen to somebody else, and how I managed to get saved. So I'm going to keep it as short as possible, but come along for the ride, and hopefully you can tell me in the comments how you might have done stuff differently, or has anything ever like this happened to you before. So my hell started when I just thought that I would actually go and have a look at my view and take in this, what I class as a really breathtaking view of Manila. I was stood here maybe 5 to 10 seconds, and then all I heard was, when I heard that noise, I was like, no, 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 no. So I run over to the door, I tried the door, and it's like locked. And I was sat there like thinking, oh, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do? And I was literally stuck on a balcony with the door closed, 40 floors up. So there's no way of like shouting somebody. And honestly, like, fear just took over my head, and I was like, what do I do? So I literally spent, must have been 10-20 minutes just driving at the door, just trying to get it open. I was panicking, I was thinking, do I smash the windows? What do I do? You mean? I was like, oh my god. I like, do I break a window? Do I get in? What do I do? You mean? Honestly, that literally first minute must have been the worst minute of my life. Literally the sheer dread. And then after that, all I could think of was, am I stuck here until I'm supposed to check out and then somebody else comes and gets me? And I honestly just did not know what to do at this point. I'd say to date, it was the most scariest, fearsome thing that's happened in my life. You know what I mean? Just sheer, just not knowing what to do, how to help, or anything. So after the initial panic of realising that the door just was not opening, all I could do was I started waving down to people. But the problem is a few people actually seen me, but they just kept waving back. Like, obviously, how do you tell people that you're like stranded on the balcony, like 40 flights up? People must have just been thinking I was kind, or, you know what I mean? Honestly, I can still see the images in my head. Like, literally, it was so traumatic. And even now, I hear that click of that door just like going round in my head. So then I start shouting for help, and it just become too much, like shouting for help. My throat started hurting, I had no water. I was just stranded on the balcony with nothing. No keys, no phone, anything, you know what I mean? I literally just walked out just to have a view of my phone, and the key was inside the room. We're going to come back to that key later in this video, and trust me, it's going to be interesting, because I'm truly not happy with Airbnb. So after maybe an hour, 2 hours of actually like screaming to help and thinking, what do I do? A woman actually appeared 3 floors down and was like shaking like towels or something out. So I'm screaming, I'm stuck, I'm held thick, I'm stuck. And she just never responded, you know what I mean? Which was so soul destroying. Soul destroying. I was honestly then thinking, do you know what I mean? Am I stuck? Am I going to get hold of anybody? Like, so as my throat was hurting, I literally just sat down here, and I was just trying to take like the situation in, like just. Sorry, this was like a really like traumatic time, and like trying to get out across how traumatic it was. If you picture yourself in this situation, honestly, like, what would you have done? put a comment in the comments below if it's happened to you, or what would you do in this scenario. So literally it'd been 2 or 3 hours. I'm literally sat here because it was the only bit of shade on my balcony. So I was literally sat here on and off, getting up, shouting for help, and just nobody was just responding. You know what I mean? Literally, like, and by this time I actually had brought a glass of drink out, which I drank on the balcony, which had like a few drops in left. So I'm like trying to take these little last few drops of fluid, because by then now I was like really sweating due to the stress and due to the heat, because it is hot in the Philippines. And honestly, just looking at the door, just walking back to the door, just arriving the door, and just nothing happening. I'm thinking, do I smash the window? Like, I'm thinking this is a last resort. So I come back to the balcony, and by now it's like 3 or 4 hours. I'm still screaming for help. Odd people are just still waving as they pass, you know what I mean? Like, it took just, you know, when you just want some help and you're just so like traumatized, you just don't know what to do. I don't know if you've ever been in this situation, but honestly, things in my head were just like going round as if I was going to be here forever, like, you know what I mean, until somebody come and let me out, or whether I just pass out from heat exhaustion, because by this time it was so hot. And this went on, honestly, screaming. My throat's still hurting now 3 days later. I'm bringing this to you now 3 days later, because it traumatized me that much. My throat was hurting, my throat still hurts. Trying to scream like help, and then you're 40 floors up, so like literally nobody can hear you. And honestly, this went on for about 5 to 6 hours, sitting down, coming back, trying to shout. By then my throat was hurting, so then I wasn't shouting as loud, so then I was just trying to do it even more and push past the pain of my throat. And honestly, like, you couldn't imagine what goes through your mind in this situation. Like, and trust me, coming up in the story there's going to be some interesting facts, you know what I mean, which actually you won't believe. But as you can see, my throat is really still hurting. So I'm going to cut forward to obviously how I managed to get saved. It was going on for about 5.5, 6 hours. And just down there, 3 balconies down to the left, was somebody actually appeared and said, "Hello, are you okay?" And I'm screaming. By then my voice was like really broken, telling them I'm stuck, so I'm trying to shout my room number. But I mustered up the strength to like get over to my room number and shout, like hanging over the balcony, which is dangerous upon itself. Oh, my chest is bruised from literally hanging over the balcony. So anyway, this guy comes out and he says, "Oh yeah, I'll phone." And so I shouted my room number. He phoned up security. This is where it gets really bad. So he's trying to tell me that basically he's phoned. He did come back again and say, "Has anybody come?" I said, "Nobody." He said, "I'll phone back." So he's phoning back to reception to tell them my room number. So obviously I don't know whether the first time they actually thought it was just a prank. So then actually some staff and security actually came, and just around here there was like security down on the road, like waving to me to make sure, like, obviously it wasn't like some type of prank. I had some of the staff and security down on the balcony trying to communicate with me. But when you're 40 floors up, and especially in the Philippines, the noise of the traffic and the horns, it's just deafening sometimes. So we managed to communicate with great difficulties, and what I could get is that they couldn't get in the door, and so they had to get a locksmith. And the locksmith was coming. So my heart sort of raised, knowing that like people were aware that I was actually stranded on this balcony, even though it is an amazing view, you know what I mean? Sitting looking at it, wondering what the hell is going to happen is severe. So I'll show you the door lock. So the problems I had I'd actually locked the door, which is like it locks twice, it's like a deadlock. And I'd also put this bar across. Just being safe, to be honest, you know what I mean? So this meant that I couldn't get in my room. So the locksmith had to remove this, and then however he got into the door lock, they had to remove this, which obviously took him a lot of time. So it was literally maybe 6 hours, 6.5 hours. Was like, and to be honest, like, it's hard to explain. Just checking that door, make sure it doesn't lock again. Just checking. It's hard to explain how long, like 6.5 hours is when you're like stuck on a balcony panicking for your life. Like how long that feels. It like literally felt like days. But they kept communicating from up the top, telling me that the locksmith was trying to get in. And then the locksmith appeared at the door, and on what a sight it was, you know what I mean? And they opened the door and obviously let me in the room. I literally done 2 bottles of water in and half a bottle of pop. I was that dehydrated, I just couldn't drink enough fluids. And although this is the dramatic side of the story gets really interesting coming up, because to be honest, Airbnb I ain't happy with, the host I ain't happy with, and just general dissatisfaction just started afterwards. Like I said, it's took me 3 days like just to even make this video, just because my like throat and hair, like everything. But like, I'm going to show you a interesting thing, that if I had the key, just to show you that the key actually doesn't open the door, you know what I mean? So the Airbnb host is aware that the door is faulty. And when I explained it to my locksmith was about 50, and he actually said that this situation never happened to anybody that he'd known ever. And when he checked the door lock, he actually said the door lock was faulty, because let me show you how you need to lock the door, just to show you how impossible it is for the latch to come down by itself if the door wasn't faulty. So the dreaded door lock, so literally you have to turn the door lock, like literally turn. It's like impossible for that latch to come down by itself. Literally impossible. Even the locksmith said, so a locksmith had a look at the door and he said basically all it can be is like something faulty inside the lock where it's just clicked across by itself. And even he was joking with me and like having a laugh, saying basically there must be a ghost in there locking it and anything like that, or a Filipino girlfriend's like locked the door and left, you know what I mean? But these are all things I'm by myself, in the room by myself. So these were just like jokes. But after he looked at the door lock anyway, he explained the door lock's faulty. So I contacted the host, explained the trauma I'd been in, and explained about the door lock. And she didn't even respond in 2 days. Not even any bit of history. And on Airbnb, a history is to respond within 1 hour. So after everything was done, the locksmiths obviously spent about another 20 minutes to half an hour fixing the door while they were in. So he was actually fixing it, which I actually paid for the repairs, and obviously paid for the service to like obviously help me. And because I didn't get a response from the host, I went straight to Airbnb, and this is where I was truly shocked. Airbnb. I was only 2 weeks ago watching a story about the CEO who was doing something to do with like customer services and looking after hosts and everything like this. And Airbnb responded with, "We're sorry, but if you want to claim your money back for the locksmith, you will include go to this web link and we'll refund you the money for the locksmith." So I went back with, "Are you not even bothered that I spent all this time stranded on a balcony because of a host that knows there's a dangerous lock and hasn't even bothered to like repair it, and is not even interested in like tenants who are staying here, like safety?" And Airbnb come back with, and this is the interesting one, one line says, "We said we were sorry." That's it. And then the next day it said, "Can we close this case?" Like, they literally were not happy about the ordeal, the scenario, that obviously people are going to come after me, customer services, the people that are going to come like after, obviously their safety. Is it going to happen to them? To be honest, it sounds like a mild thing because yes, I was saved. You know what I mean? And obviously took on the balcony, but it took me 2 to 3 days, well, nearly 3 days, from my throat, the fatigue, like muscle ache, just being in the heat, just like sitting in the sun for that long, screaming and shouting with no hydration or anything like this. That could turn quite fatal if this guy, who I call my angel, actually didn't pop out his head, because to be honest, in 7.5 hours, there was one person, that actually popped his head out and said, "Are you okay?" One in 6 hours. One person in 6 hours. You know what I mean? That could quite turn into, that person couldn't have come out, and you could have been stuck on this balcony for days. And Airbnb had no interest at all about the safety of obviously people that are going to come after me, knowing that the door is locked. Not even a message saying they're going to contact the host and say that basically this safety issue needs to be repaired. Nothing. So to be honest, truly shocked about Airbnb service, truly shocked about the host, because to be honest, the hotel's amazing, the staff are amazing, the people who helped me were angels, you know what I mean, in my eyes. You know what I mean? But just the host and just Airbnb, the two people that I'm actually so shocked with. The service is disgusting, and they put profits over health and safety, which in my eyes is totally wrong. When you put money above a human life, it's totally the wrong way to live. But that's my story, that's my ordeal. Hit me up in the comments, ask me some questions. You know what I mean? Tell me if you've ever had anything like this happen to you, because I've never had or heard of anything like this happen before. You know, so I'll be interested if it's happened to somebody else, or if similar things have happened to other people. Have you been in an Airbnb when there's been like major issues? I look forward to reading your comments, and I do respond to every single comment that I receive. But as you can see, like the anger's building back up, you know what I mean? It's like, in my head I'm still reliving this ordeal, and to be honest, it's going to take me a while to get over it. And to be honest, the first things going in my mind were just book a flight, leave the Philippines, should I just leave? And to be honest, now I'm totally undecided, because it's affected me. And it's nothing to do with the Philippines. The Philippines is totally amazing, and the views and the people are just phenomenal, you know what I mean? Like, the kindness that you get from the Philippines and the people just make life worth living, you know what I mean? Their smiles sort of like get inside you, and like you feel genuinely happy. People come to the Philippines because of the beauty, but honestly you will fall in love with the people, I'll guarantee you that. And the good thing is, most people speak English, so you can have deep and meaningful conversations with everybody. So don't let this put you off, because obviously I've never heard of anything like this happen before, and I don't think I'll ever hear about it again, to be honest, you know what I mean, unless somebody comes to this Airbnb next. But my review is going to obviously, hopefully, advise people about how dangerous that is, you know what I mean. But thank you for listening to my rant. Oh, and I forgot about the key, didn't I? Yeah, the key doesn't actually open the door. I don't know if I mentioned it. The key, when I went back out panicking, you know what I mean, like, I literally was taking the key with me, and something inside me said, like, what if the key doesn't work? So I tried the key, and the key doesn't work. So even if I had the key in my pocket, I was still in the same situation, you know what I mean, which is like stupid. But I've passed all the relevant information on to the host. She hasn't even responded to me. She hasn't even said sorry or anything like this. Just nothing, you know what I mean? Which is appalling. You put money over life, you're a bad person in my eyes. If you put money over a person's life, you are a bad person. But until the next time, guys, if you did truly like this video, give it a thumbs up. It really, really helps like us small channels grow. Helps get the voice across as well about the service from Airbnb. about the hosts. You hear me? And obviously, if you do want to subscribe, hit the bell notification. You'll be notified next time I do a video, and hopefully the next video is going to be a lot more positive than this one. But for now, guys, take care, stay safe, peace out.